Good morning. So we're going to keep talking about the Pythagorean theorem today. We're going to keep working with right triangles. Last class we talked about how to discover if a triangle was a right triangle by using the legs and the theorem. And today we're going to look at how to find a missing side length if we know a couple others. So hopefully it's not going to be too bad. Your exit step today will be pretty, most of the steps will be done for you, just doing a couple steps on your own. And then tomorrow's will be, or Mondays will be doing more of the steps on your own. So a couple examples today. Shouldn't be too much to grasp. Trying to feed it to you nice and easily. So, just as a reminder, in a right triangle, the two sides that are attached to the right angle are the legs. They are the shorter sides, and the hypotenuse is the one opposite the right angle. So always look for that right angle, and it's always the one opposite of that, or on the opposite side. And the hypotenuse is also the longest side. So you want to make sure that we're remembering if I have three numbers, and the largest one has to be the hypotenuse. All right, so we're going to do a couple examples. All right, so example number one, I'll just draw a triangle like this. And I'll say, here's my right angle. And let's say I know that this side right here is 7 and this side right here is 5. So the first question you want to ask yourself is always, am I missing the hypotenuse or a leg? So you want to ask yourselves, in this picture, am I missing a hypotenuse or a leg? Well, this side here, I notice it's opposite the right angle. So it's actually the hypotenuse I'm missing. So I'm going to call it C for hypotenuse. I'm missing the hypotenuse here. So in my theorem, step 2 is going to be to write the formula. So you got a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And I'm missing the hypotenuse. That's my unknown. So I'm still going to have a c squared. But my legs are going to be 5 and 7. So let's write an a and a b there. It doesn't really matter which one's a and which one's b, as long as I know they're the two legs. All right, so now I know that 5 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. So let's see. 5 squared is 25. So step 3 is square the numbers I know. Square the known numbers. All right, so now I have 25 plus 7 squared is 49. This is where knowledge of our squares comes in handy in solving things quickly. Equals c squared. All right, so now my next step, I'm going to solve my equation. This is a beautiful unit that merges solving equations, squares and exponents, and geometry. It's this wonderful, like, sort of melding of all the things we've done this year. So number 4, we're going to either add or subtract, and we'll see a subtracting example next time what that looks like. But here we know that 25 and 49 adds to get us, let's see, 74. So 74 equals c squared. And step 5, how do I solve that equation? Well, 74 is some number squared. So now I have to take the square root. So the square root of 74 is c. And that could actually be my answer. I could leave it just like that. But I could also use my number sense and say that c is approximately, well, let's see. 74 is between, let's see, the square root of 64 is 8, and the square root of 81 is 9. So I'll say, let's see, it's a bit closer to 81. It's 7 away from 81 and 10 away from 64. So I'll say about 8.6. So c is about 8.6. And I want to check for reasonableness. C is 8.6. All right, and that's the hypotenuse. It should be the longest side. And I'm going to confirm, yes, it's reasonable because it is the longest side and the largest number. Okay? So there's one example. We figured out that if I was missing this hypotenuse here, I plug in my legs to my Pythagorean theorem, I square them, I add them, and then I take the square root. All right, square, add, square root. It's not a too bad process once you know what you're missing. All right, let's try another one. Okay, draw one more picture over here. I'm going to try to draw right triangles that actually look different than what you're used to, because sometimes we get confused as to what sides we're missing just because our picture is rotated or reflected. Again, flashback to the beginning of the year. Man, I wish we were in school for this. This is hard. Okay, let's see. So now I'm going to say this side right here is going to be 8. And I'm going to make this side right here about 17. Okay. So now again, I want to ask myself the same questions as above. So I'm going to be flipping back to above. So, step 1, am I missing a hypotenuse or am I missing the leg? Missing a, let's see, here's my right angle, and I'm missing this side right here, which is next to the right angle, so that's a leg. All right, so I'm just gonna call that A, missing A. So now, oh, sorry, I'm on the right page. So I'm missing a leg, because that side right there is next to my right angle. So I am missing a leg, I'm just gonna call it A, because I'm missing one of the sides that's attached to my right angle. All right, so then step 2, if we remember, was to write the formula. So I want to make sure I'm always writing down a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You'll have a Google Doc to work on as well. You're still submitting a form, but I have a Google Doc for you. What I recommend is just copy and paste the formula. Honestly, like copy and paste it. I can type it, but I don't know how easy it is for you guys to use the superscript. It's easy just to copy and paste the formula every time, and then just delete the numbers. All right, so that's my tip. Copy, paste the formula, delete the numbers. So when I copy, paste my formula, I'm going to square my known numbers. Let's see. So my known numbers are, let's see, 8 and 17. So I'm just going to call 8 side length B, and 17 is my hypotenuse, so I'm going to call that C, because that's my hypotenuse. All right, so let's see. I have A squared plus B is 8 squared equals 17 squared, and I'm going to square my numbers that I know. 8 squared is 64. 17 squared is 289. If you're getting real good at that gravity game, you might know that off your head. If you do, bonus points. If not, we'll get there. It's fine. So a squared plus 64 is 289. So I've squared my known numbers. And now here, in order to solve an equation, let's think back to old school equations, back when life was fun. Then we had like the equation like a plus 6 equals 28. How would I solve that equation? Well, I really hope this answer comes very quick, and you'd say, oh, subtract 6. Like, cool, I'd subtract here, right? And it's the same type of deal here, because I have an a squared plus a number gets me some other number. So I'm going to subtract that 64. And that's really the step 4 from above, my add/subtract step. Here's an example where I subtract, where I'm missing a leg. All right. So then 289 minus 64, that gets me 225, and I think that's a perfect square, actually. Hey, what are you doing? What's she doing? Sorry, talking to my cat. Okay, so a squared is 225. So then, step 5, I have to take the square root. So the square root of a squared is the square root of 225. So a is the square root of 225. And if you know that off the top of your head, I'm super proud of you. The square root of 225 is 15. So A equals 15. A equals 15. Again, sorry, my phone storage gets full like every time I do one of these videos and it cuts me off. But we should be good for a while now. So there's two examples. Hopefully those are helpful. I want to do one more, I think, just so we're really clear on this. And this one, definitely, I would see if you can try to do it on your own. Like, definitely pause the video and see. Let's see, so I'll make one more example. Let's see, I'll make it some real crazy thing. I'll do like this. All right, so I'm gonna do that. And I'll make this side 18. I'll make this side 18 too. All right. So, let's see, what side length do I know? Or what side am I missing? Am I missing a leg or a hypotenuse? I'm missing this side here, which is opposite the right angle, missing hypotenuse. So, a squared plus b squared gets me c squared. I happen to know that a and b are my legs. I'm missing c, so 18 squared plus 18 squared gets me c squared. 18 squared, if you know this from the game, I'm also, again, very impressed. 18 squared is 324. 18 squared, 324 gets me c squared. Add those together gets me 648 equals c squared, and then take my square root of c squared. The square root of 648, and I do not know what that is off the top of my head. I'm very sorry about that. And I'm not that sorry, because like you shouldn't really know that off the top of your head. Can we approximate it even? That's a great try. We could just use our calculators, honestly. Just whip out your calculator. Like, I happen to know that the square root of 24... No, I'm sorry. The square root of 25... No. 25 squared is 625. I know that. I'm not sure why, but I do. And then, so that this is a bit more than that. And then if I do 26 squared, I believe I get 676. No, that's not right. That's not right. I don't know. Let's see, 26 times 26. Something ending in 6. 6 times 2 is 18, 21. 6 times 2 is 12. 4, 5. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Did I do this right? 736? That's not right. Hold on. Let me use my phone calculator. I'm going to do it again. 26 times 26. My phone's in use. 6 times 6 is 36. Carry the 3. 6 times 2 is 12. Oh, 6 times 2 is 12. That's why I did it wrong. That was wrong. Okay. 2 times 6 is 12. It is 676, isn't it? Yeah. I was right. Good grief. Okay. So 26 squared is 676. So then, I know that c, the square root of 48, is about 25 and a half. All right. And I should have known that. It totally is about 25 and a half. All right. So there's one more. Sorry, my math by hand really ruined the end of that video. I wish I could crop it out, but I don't know how to crop things out of the middle of clips. Hopefully that's helpful. Today's should be a little bit straightforward. Hopefully it's not too bad. Tomorrow's will be a little bit more involved, and I'll probably have one day for applications before we're done with the Pythagorean theorem, unfortunately. Moving on to our very last unit of the year. So hope this goes well for you, and enjoy. The last thing I wanted to show you, I didn't even bother to screen share this, is that your Google Doc that's attached to your form, this Google Doc is not what's being submitted. The form is what gets submitted, but the Google Doc has on a nice summary for you, and it also has all the problems on it as well. Here's the nice 5 steps we went through in the video. Alright, so 1 was write the Pythagorean theorem. 2, substitute the values that you know. 3, square those values. 4, solve either by adding, if you know the legs. or subtracting, if you know the hypotenuse, in one leg, or 5, and then 5, find the square root of the result, all right? So it's really the 3 math steps are square what you know, add or subtract, and square root, all right? And then this summary hopefully is helpful. I think it's a pretty good summary overall as it comes. Some of them are pretty bad. This one's actually pretty good. So it just goes through like the nice process of how to do nice done out work. So yeah, hopefully you find that helpful. Again, the form gets submitted, not this, okay? I'm not checking the doc, I'm checking your forms. All right, thanks.